You're watching FigureReviews.com's Video Review 01. Or rather, you're watching the FigureReviews.com video review of 01. Phone Braver 01, that is, from the Japanese sci-fi drama series Keitai Sosakan 7. Although the series ended more than a year ago now, it was very popular during its run and had a variety of supporting toys, including a deluxe electronic version of antagonist cell phone 01. The series has been completely fan-subbed, and I highly recommend checking it out if you've never seen it before. The toy has a fairly impressive array of electronic functions, which are going to be the main play value draw for this. But 01 is also a transforming action figure. The physical side of the toy is comparatively simple, so I'll go ahead and run through that before getting into the more complicated electronic-y stuff. Packaged in his active form, 01 stands an impressive 25 centimeters tall. 01 is reasonably posable. His arms feature universal joint shoulders, an upper arm swivel, and double-hinged elbows. The legs feature exactly the same articulation layout, plus a foot that's hinged for transformation, but may be useful in some posing. The arms and legs, plus the sides of the flip top, feature connection points for any of the available boost phone upgrades. 01's hands are solid block fists, which can't hold anything. If not for the relatively complicated electronics, I would probably complain that they couldn't include some swappable hands for the original retail cost of this toy. I imagine boost phones would add some play value to the active mode. On its own, it's really simple, and I somehow question whether it would even have articulation, if not absolutely required for transforming. No joint on the toy goes unused when converting between forms. But still, if you think the active mode is kind of physically boring, you should check out the mobile form. Designed to be disguised as an ordinary cell phone, 01's mobile form is very plain. The only real clue to the abnormal nature of this phone is its unusual thickness. Well, that and the hinged plates at the four corners. Both, of course, are a result of the folded-up limbs. Even taking into account the year the show and toys were made, phone bravers are a little on the large side anyway, even without the added thickness. But further time, they'd basically be an average-looking flip phone if the arms and legs could be removed. The only moving part in this form is the flip top. The hinge is actually not especially tight, nor does it have a position where it locks open like a real phone. It will tend not to fall closed by itself if left open with the top halfway up, as often occurred in the show, but it might fall back the rest of the way open. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the real reason you'd get the deluxe phone braver. The electronics! I'll start with active mode. Oh, but he's in mobile form. Okay, let's let 01 transform. Press 501, then AC. Now, 01 needs a little help. If you don't transform his limbs within a certain period of time, he'll get an unhappy face. Actually, you only need to slide his shoulders up. It catches an internal switch and tells the toy it's in active mode. The entire time 01 is in active mode, after you remove the battery tab, his LCD screen will be on, displaying one of a small number of usually relatively neutral expressions. There's no conventional off switch to save power, so displaying the toy in this mode will slowly drain the batteries. In active mode, the number buttons trigger a complete phrase to be spoken, recorded in the same voice as the show. Pressing pound or star plus the AC button will trigger the transformation sound effects or the phone's ringer, respectively. Pressing the send button to the left of the menu will randomly trigger either analyzer mode or singing. Analyzer has 5 possible results, 3 of which I don't understand having any importance over each other, but the other 2 I understand somewhat better, which are lost and game over. However, I have yet to figure out what leads to any of the outcomes. Singing is more straightforward. 01 will sing. The goal is to get a score of 100 by having 01 correctly sing his song. But more often he'll throw some extra nonsense sounds into it and you'll score anywhere from 80 down to 25. If you score 100, 01 will become very creepy and look at you with hearts in his eyes. The singing seems to either gauge his mood or set it. I'm not really sure which way it works. That's really all there is to active mode's electronic functions. Really though, the real star here is the mobile mode. Much like a real cell phone, there's a small recessed button just below the screen which matches a tiny nub on the body of the phone. When the top is closed, the toy goes into a standby mode which shuts off the display. For a little while after you first close the phone, it may randomly ring. Mostly this is just to randomly deliver one of a few programmed emails from under Anchor, of course written in Japanese. Occasionally, the call or email will lead into playing one of the extremely simple games, which I'll talk about a little later. But if you ignore the toy long enough, it will apparently actually shut off. The big feature advertised on this toy is that each number button is linked to one word in Japanese, and these can be strung together in combinations of up to 3 to make 01 speak a wide variety of phrases. Using the star and pound keys, you can get some extra special phrases which can also be chained in sequences of up to 3. In fact, the toy is advertised as being able to say 28,000 things. I'm not sure if that count only includes combinations that make sense. Between electronic functions, if 01 is left to sit open for a little while, his face will drop until just his eyes are showing and his screen will be taken up with a clock marked in 24-hour time. Pressing the menu button lets you select either training or the clock set options. For training, you can choose from a number matching game represented by a 01 face icon, a simple space fighter game, or something kind of like Space Invaders. Number matching is the most simple. Just enter numbers displayed at an increasingly quicker rate in groups of up to 3. The Space Fighter is also simple. You move left and right using the keypad, and the middle column lets you shoot your weapon. You'll proceed along a randomly generated course, having to avoid obstacles and destroy enemies in your way until you reach the goal. Space Invaders is the most difficult. An advancing line of simple alien shapes descends the screen, and you have to push buttons an indicated number of times to destroy them. It gets difficult in the last stages of the game, where you'll have to press many times, and you can only press one button at a time. As I mentioned earlier, 01 will sometimes ring at random with a call or email. But if you press the send button, you can also trigger these events. Occasionally, you'll be given a number code to enter to perform some function. The real wow factor that's being relied on with this toy is its ability to string a large number of phrase combinations together. Sadly, that counts on the user being skilled enough with Japanese to make it work. My knowledge of Japanese basically begins and ends with Masked Rider catchphrases. Ore Sanjo! I bought 01 because I really enjoyed the show he's from, and grew to liking the character. That and HLJ had on crazy discount. I would have never paid full retail for this, and now having time to play with one, I stand firm in that decision. If you find a good deal and are a fan of the property, I can recommend getting one of these phone bravers. I can't really envision a circumstance where I'd suggest buying one at full price. If I can understand Japanese, I'm sure I'd rate this toy as a very good, but since about half the functional gimmickry is lost on me, I'm going to drop it to just a good on the figurereviews.com rating system. Thanks so much for joining me in my debut video review, and please look forward to more coming from RAC and myself very soon. I know this might have been a little clunky since it was my first try, but I hope for it to turn out better next time.
Network access.